Welcome back. Let's start by practicing the deep breathing skill we learned in the first session. First, let's take a thermometer reading of our current anxiety level. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very low to non-existent, and 10 being the most severe anxiety you've experienced, where are you right now? Please jot down what your number is right now. Okay, now let's take some deep breaths. Taking a deep breath in through our nose, counting in our mind, 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagining the air we breathe filling our stomach. Holding for a count of 2, then breathing out through our mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4, and pausing before we start again. Now let's all try. Breathing in for a count of 4, holding for a count of 2, and breathing out for a count of 4. Let's try it again. Breathing in for a count of 4, holding for a count of 2, and breathing out for a count of 4. Okay, now let's take a new thermometer reading. Please rate your current level of anxiety on the scale from 1, very low to none, to 10, most severe. Did you notice a shift in your number? Today we will quickly review the CBT model and homework, shift to focusing on how the ways in which we think about things can impact anxiety, discuss different styles of unhelpful thinking that we all engage in, talk about how to identify these unhelpful thoughts and start to make changes in our thinking patterns. Last time, we discussed the ways in which thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, and behaviors interact, and used the cross-sectional formulation worksheet. Your homework was to complete one. Let's take a moment to address some of the common challenges that may have come up. 1. What happens if I don't remember what happened? Try to take some notes on what happened as soon as possible, e.g. on your phone, so you can look back at them later in the day. 2. I couldn't think of anything to put in the physical, cognitive, emotional, or behavioral section. Refer to page 11 of your workbook. Use these common anxiety symptoms to help guide you. 3. I felt too anxious to write it down or even think about what happened. Practice breathing before you do it. Remind yourself why you want to do this. E.g., I know it's good for my mind, so I'm going to do it even though it's hard. It's okay if you had some difficulties. This is a learning process. Remember, the CBT model is a fundamental component of understanding anxiety. The skills in our toolbox are built on this foundation. Now we're going to transfer into further exploring our anxious thought processes. Now that we have looked at the interactions between thoughts, emotions, and feelings, let's focus on thoughts. Our thoughts can be conscious, intentional and/or purposeful, like when we are purposefully working on a homework assignment and thinking about the content, or our thoughts can be automatic, like a reflex. Automatic thoughts are the thoughts and/or images that automatically pop into our heads. We don't choose for them to happen, they just do. For example, you may be purposefully working on your homework when the automatic thought pops up that you suddenly need to clean your room, or text a friend, or call your mom back. These automatic thoughts can be helpful or unhelpful. If you're working on that homework assignment and you have the thought, I need to go to the bathroom, that's helpful. But if the automatic thoughts distract you from what you are trying to accomplish and you can't refocus on your homework, it is not so helpful. Sometimes automatic thoughts can impact the way we feel or further think about things. We're going to hone in on these automatic thoughts, particularly the unhelpful ones, because this is where we can start to see some difficulties when it comes to anxiety. Let's talk about some examples of automatic thoughts and feelings that might go with them. Imagine you notice your heart rate has accelerated. You may have the thought, my heart is racing. I must be having a panic attack. Or You may have the thought, "My heart is racing, I'm so excited." Can you see how the same internal experience or stimulus, i.e. heart racing, can provoke different thoughts? Can you see how different thoughts may provoke different feelings? Here's another example. This time our thoughts are in response to an external stimulus. Imagine you're walking on campus and someone doesn't acknowledge you when you say hi. You have the thought, "They must not like me," or you have the thought, "Maybe they didn't hear me." Can you see how having these two different thoughts might elicit a different emotional response? You may feel hurt if you think they don't like you, or you might brush it off if you think they didn't hear you. Let's consider the example situation from last time, which is reprinted on page 19 of your workbook. The example of being invited to the party. The person had the thought, "No one will like me because I'm so socially awkward." How might that impact his or her feelings or behaviors? Considering everything we've just talked about, let's take a look at your own anxiety-provoking situations from your homework assignment. Remember when we talked about how thoughts, feelings, and behaviors all interact? Well, automatic thoughts can impact the way we feel or further think about things. Taking a look at your homework, or using an example from your workbook, you may notice that some of the thoughts listed were unhelpful automatic thoughts. As we keep practicing these tools and increasing your awareness, you may notice some patterns in your thoughts. Some types of thoughts happen more often than others. Let's talk about common patterns people may experience. When we think about automatic thoughts, we can often place them into a number of common categories of styles of thinking that everyone engages in. When I say everyone, I mean everyone, not just people who struggle with anxiety. These ways of thinking are so common, in fact, that we have names for them. One of the most commonly used styles of thinking is what we call catastrophizing. This is when our thoughts snowball. So, for example, you start with the thought, "I'm going to fail this test," which leads to, "If I fail the test, I'll fail the class." And then, "I'll fail out of FAU and never graduate." And then, "I'll never get a good job." And finally, "I'll be homeless and unable to support myself." Notice how that went downhill pretty quickly. Sound familiar to anyone? So that was just one example of many. Go ahead and turn to page 20 in your workbook, and let's take a look at the different thinking styles. As you go through these styles of thinking, start to identify in some way, star, circle, or highlight, whatever works for you, the ones you tend to use. This may include all of them, it may be just a few. Let's practice identifying unhelpful thinking patterns by returning to the sample party situation on page 19. What do you think are some of the unhelpful thinking styles this person may have had? Go ahead and jot down the thoughts near the cognitive box. Now let's turn back to your homework assignment again. Do any of the thoughts you wrote down in the cognitive box of your homework fit into any of these unhelpful thinking categories? Go ahead and write the unhelpful thinking style near the corresponding thought in the cognitive box of your homework. These unhelpful thinking patterns can trigger other anxiety symptoms. And as you may have noticed, we come back a lot to the interactions between thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and physical symptoms, and talk about how they impact one another. Each of these types of symptoms, unhelpful thoughts included, can be triggers for other symptoms. So let's talk about common triggers. Triggers can be external events, e.g. a test, or internal stimuli, e.g. lightheadedness or racing heartbeat, that lead to anxiety symptoms. Having one symptom can be a trigger for other symptoms. For example, I just said lightheadedness, which is a symptom of anxiety, like we talked about last time. But lightheadedness can also be a trigger for other symptoms, like thought or behavior symptoms. Understanding your triggers is important because it helps you know yourself better. Understanding your triggers can also help you know when to use your toolbox before it feels overwhelming. Take a look at page 21 in your workbook. We are going to look at this worksheet, learn about common triggers, and identify some of our own triggers. Keep in mind that your triggers may or may not fit in these categories. Some examples of triggers might include actual events, e.g. being invited to a party, physical sensations, e.g. racing heartbeat, or thoughts, e.g. worrying about the health and/or safety of others. Take some time to complete this worksheet, identifying triggers you have noticed yourself experiencing. You have 5 minutes to start this worksheet. If you don't finish, that's okay. It will be part of your continued practice between now and the next session. Let's wrap up. Today we continue to slow down the anxiety process. We discussed automatic thoughts and different styles of unhelpful thinking. We also started to identify some of the triggers you may experience. Remember, recognition of anxiety symptoms and awareness of your patterns are significant initial steps in managing anxiety. This means that completing the cross-sectional formulation is a tool. It's a thinking tool that requires that you slow down and detangle the symptoms you are feeling. We're going to end with another relaxation exercise called progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR. But before we do this, let's take our current anxiety thermometer reading. 1 through 10, where are you right now? Go ahead and jot that down. Back to PMR. As a reminder, PMR is another direct way to address the fight, flight, freeze symptoms. And remember that by addressing the physical symptoms directly, you are freeing up mental energy to address other symptoms. Progressive muscle relaxation is an exercise that reduces stress and anxiety in your body by having you slowly tense and then relax each muscle. The theory behind this exercise is that you cannot have the feeling of relaxation and warm well-being in your body and at the same time experience anxiety symptoms. With practice, you will become more aware of when you are experiencing tension, and you will have the skills to help you relax. Okay, during this exercise, each muscle should be tensed, but not to the point of strain. Pay special attention to the feeling of tension in your muscle and the feeling of relaxation as you release the tension. If you have any injuries or pain, you can skip the affected areas. Let's begin. Sit back or lie down in a comfortable position. Shut your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. If not, soften your gaze on a fixed point. Start by taking a deep breath and noticing the feeling of air filling your lungs. Hold your breath for a few seconds. 1, 2, 3. Release the breath slowly and let the tension leave your body. Now take another deep breath and hold it. 1, 2, 3. Slowly release the air. Even slower now. Take another breath in. Fill your lungs and hold the breath. 1, 2, 3. Slowly release the breath and imagine the feeling of tension leaving your body with each breath out. We are going to begin progressively tensing and releasing our muscles. Let's start by clenching our fists tighter and tighter. Hold. Now let go and relax your hands. Feel the looseness in your hands and notice the contrast between the tension and the feeling of relaxation. Now bend your elbows and tense your biceps. Tense them as hard as you can and observe the feeling of tautness. Hold. Okay, relax, straighten out your arms. Notice the feeling of relaxation in your hands, arms, and shoulders. Notice how your arms feel limp and at ease. Okay, let's turn our attention to our head. Wrinkle your forehead as tight as you can. Hold. Now relax and smooth it out. Now close your eyes, squint them tighter, feel the tension. Now relax your eyes, let them remain closed gently and comfortably. Okay, still focusing on our heads, Roll your head to the right and feel the changing locus of stress. Roll it to the left. Straighten your head and bring it forward. Press your chin against your chest. Feel the tension in your throat, the back of your neck. Hold. Relax, allowing your head to return to a comfortable position. Let the relaxation deepen. Now tense the muscles in your back by bringing your shoulders together behind you. Hold them tightly. Tense them as hard as you can without straining, and keep holding. Now let go. Release the tension from your back. Feel the tension slowly leaving your body and the new feeling of relaxation. Notice how different your body feels when you allow it to relax. Now shrug your shoulders up to your ears and hold. Relax your shoulders, drop them back, and feel the relaxation spreading through your neck, throat, and shoulders. Give your body a chance to relax. Feel the comfort and the heaviness. Next, breathe in and fill your lungs completely. Hold your breath. Notice the tension. Now exhale, let the air hiss out, and let your chest become loose. Continue relaxing. Let your breath come freely and gently. Now tighten your buttocks and thighs. Squeeze your thighs as hard as you can and hold. Release. Feel the difference as you let go. Now let's move our attention to the calves and the feet. Press your toes downward, making your calves tense. Study the tension. Relax. Now bend your toes towards your face, creating tension in your shins. Relax again. Okay, finally, tense your entire body. Tense your feet, legs, stomach, chest, arms, head, and neck. Tense hard without straining. Hold the tension. Relax. Feel the looseness and heaviness throughout your body as the relaxation deepens. Let go more and more. Experience the relaxation deepening. Pay attention to the feeling of relaxation and how it is different from the feeling of tension. Begin to wake your body up by slowly moving your muscles. Adjust your arms and legs, stretch your muscles, and open your eyes when you're ready. Now let's do another thermometer reading. Did you notice any change in your anxiety level? Try to note where you felt the most tension during the exercise and where it felt the best to let the tension go. This is the second relaxation exercise we've done. There are other relaxation strategies listed in the appendix in your workbook as well. You'll find that you like some more than others. Keep practicing to find the one that best fits your style. That concludes Session 2 of Anxiety Toolbox. Between now and the next session, pay attention to triggers and automatic thoughts that you experience. Write them down and continue to practice doing the simple cross-sectional formulation. Try to complete at least one before the next session. Remember that it takes time to get good at using all of the tools in our toolbox. Please keep practicing during the time until the next session. If you don't have time to do a full body PMR, pick the area where you hold the most tension and practice tensing and releasing. Next time, we are going to start to learn other ways to address these automatic thoughts. We will also discuss grounding, which is a way of calming and getting present in the moment. FAU Counseling and Psychological Services would like to acknowledge and thank our colleagues at Counseling Services, California Polytechnic State University, San Luis Obispo, for so generously sharing their Anxiety Toolbox program with us.